Hi Cancer, this is Tisch Aitken, and this is your monthly report for the month of April 2022. Big month ahead. Pluto stations retrograde on April 29th. We feel that energy 5 days before and 5 days after, and it's shifting retrograde in your house of relationships and partnerships, so a lot of major beginnings and endings. There is a partial solar eclipse at the very end of the month on the 30th of April at 10 degrees and 28 minutes of the fixed earth sign of Taurus, and that new moon eclipse falls in your house of friends and groups and community, and that could bring a lot of changes in that infrastructure of your life. And there's going to be a lot of Pisces as we get to the end of the month. But as we begin the month, there's a stellium of planets transiting in the fixed air sign of Aquarius, and we're currently in the new age of Aquarius. Vesta, which is an asteroid that represents hearth and home. Mars, the planet of action and passion. Venus, the planet of love and beauty and money. Juno, which represents partnering. It's an asteroid that represents how you partner. And Saturn, the planet of structure and karma, are all transiting in Aquarius in your house of healing and death and rebirth, the house of transformation, as well as money and debt and other people's resources, joint resources, so taxes and credit and those fun things, but finding ways to empower yourself and heal in that area. And there's also a strong Neptunian and Piscean tone because Jupiter and Neptune have been conjunct for a while, meaning that they're traveling close together. And Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces and Neptune is the modern. Jupiter is the vision, Neptune is the dream. And they're going to peak from April 9th through April 12th. And that's a very magical and manifesting and very romantic energy. But it also expands the Pisces tone. And by the end of the month, we will have 5 points transiting in the sign of Pisces and in your house of dreams, hope and vision and manifesting and publicity and promotion. And Pisces is a fellow water sign, very compatible with your own. And we are in Aries season. The sun, which is vitality and energy, is transiting in the cardinal fire sign of Aries. Mercury, which is communication, and Chiron, which is the wounded healer, are all transiting at the top of your chart in your house of career and life goals, getting the action going, doing a lot of planning and networking, but also healing issues around your professional reputation. It's been a very difficult time to work in these last couple of years. So we begin the month. There is a new moon that takes place on March 31st at 11:24 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and on April 1st at 2:24 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 11 degrees and 30 minutes of the cardinal fire sign of Aries. And this new moon falls in your house of career, achievement, and life goals. The new moon is always a time to set intentions. The moon rules your chart, rules your sign. So you're very familiar with working with the moon. And this new moon is conjunct Mercury, a lot of planning, maybe write down your intentions and be very specific. It's an excellent time to do the law of abundance, and I will link something to that later on my channel, and I will write an article definitely about this as well. And Chiron, the wounded healer, is very strong in this new moon as well, about healing and focusing your thoughts and intentions on healing the world, healing yourself, and moving ahead. On April 2nd, Mercury and Chiron meet up at 9:42 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, more emphasis on healing through positive thinking. And then the Sun and Mercury meet up at 7:11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Focus on your achievement and what you want to do. On April 3rd, the moon will be transiting in the fixed earth sign of Taurus in your house of groups and friends. And it's going to meet up with Uranus, which is the planet of chaos and surprise, at 1:47 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Maybe there's a little bit of chaos with your friends. Maybe a friend is going through something. Maybe you get an unexpected invitation. With Uranus, expect the unexpected. You may meet somebody, a new friend, unexpectedly. And then on April 5th, Venus, which is the planet of love and money, enters the mutable water sign of Pisces, where it loves to be. Venus is exalted in Pisces. It's a fellow water sign, so it's very harmonious with your sign. And it'll be transiting in Pisces through May 2nd in your house of hope and manifesting. Very nice energy. And then on April 7th, Mercury and Saturn both form a harmonious aspect at 8:37 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And this is excellent for you for financial and professional opportunities. Good, solid communication. On April 8th, Jupiter, which is the luckiest planet, forms an excellent aspect to the north node of karma. And this could bring very fortuitous aspects with friends. Pay attention to whom you meet. This is a very auspicious energy for networking. If you're promoting yourself, if you're looking for a job, you might find that opportunity arises then. So that's really nice energy. On April 9th, Jupiter and Neptune are starting to peak in the sky in your house of manifesting. If I say it over and over, focus on manifesting however that is for you. Singing, chanting, writing down your intentions, listening to intentional meditation, walking in nature, going to the ocean. These are all manifesting things. So it comes in many different forms. Jupiter and Neptune will be peaking that weekend, and it's very Piscean, very romantic and spiritual. I had a teacher once say it's an easy money cycle, so it can bring manifesting in that way. So lovely romantic energy. Jupiter and Neptune will both be making good aspects to the moon that date, and that's really nice. On April 10th, Mercury squares Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, at 4:45 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That could bring power struggles, conceivably with work or with relationships, but in my estimation, because there's such lovely romantic energy, it's about purging toxic patterns with relationships and toxic thinking. If you're trying to heal a partnership, it's really good energy for focusing on the wounds, but also doing a lot of healing work and spiritual work around it. It raises it. It doesn't make it as difficult. And then Mercury will change signs at 10:09 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on that date and enter the sign of Taurus, where it'll transit until April 29th in your house of friends and groups, more social emphasis and networking. And then on April 12th, Jupiter and Neptune become exactly conjunct at 10:42 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which means they're exactly on top of each other at 23 degrees and 59 minutes of the mutable water sign of Pisces. The first time in more than 165 years, because Neptune takes 165 years to orbit. The two rulers of Pisces, the sign of fantasy and imagination and magic on the higher form. The more challenging form is escapism and delusion and fear. Work with the magic. Venus is exalted in Pisces. Jupiter is in its dignity. Neptune is the ruler. I want to focus on the magic. On April 14th, Mars, which is the planet of action and passion, enters the mutable water sign of Pisces at 11:06 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it will transit there until May 24th in your house of publicity and promotion and higher learning and hope and optimism. A lot of focus on manifesting and hope, but also on promoting yourself. And if you're thinking of taking classes, it'll be a phenomenal time to do so. Jupiter's transiting in your house of learning and teaching. And so a lot of Pisces going on in the sky. And then on April 16th, there's a full moon that takes place at 2:55 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 26 degrees and 46 minutes of the cardinal air sign of Libra. This full moon takes place in your house of home, family, and emotional foundation. Now, it squares Pluto, the cosmic compass, so there could be changes or endings with relationships. There could be big moves. Pluto will be stationing retrograde on the 20th. We're getting that energy is getting very potent, but also it could bring, if you're trying to buy a place or sell a place, maybe you're looking to rent a new apartment, this could bring culmination to what you're working with. And the two benefics, Venus and Jupiter, are conjunct that day. And oh, that's later on. But they're in Pisces. They're both transiting, so that's good. Jupiter and Neptune are still conjunct, definitely. Saturn squares the nodes of fate, so there can be very fated decisions and situations going on at that time. On April 17th, Venus is in harmony with Uranus. And Venus and Mercury are in harmony together, and this is at 9:09 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That brings a sense of optimism and Mercury and Jupiter, of thinking and communication and networking, and that's good for doing manifesting. It's also good for good fortune through communication. Mercury and Uranus meet up in the sky. They become conjunct at 9:51 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and on April 18th at 12:51 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That could bring very innovative thinking, very brilliant thinking. It's a great time for brainstorming. Could be unexpected news with friends. Could be, again, unexpected invitations or excitement, but very cerebral thinking with that. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, so that's kind of exciting. And then on April 18th, Venus and Uranus form a very harmonious aspect at 3:15 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. They form what's called a sextile. That's an aspect of opportunity. That could be very creative, very romantic energy, and it could be good for networking with friends, forming new social connections, and that's lovely. And then on the 18th, the Sun squares Pluto at 11:14 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That could bring major endings. That could bring power struggles at the workplace for you. So just be mindful of that, kind of lay low if people are looking for a challenge. But it could also be empowering if you're trying to achieve something and, eliminating blocks. But it's intense. You've got that creative, innovative energy, so that's positive. And then on April 19th, the Sun enters the fixed Earth sign of Taurus at 10:24 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, where it will transit until May 20th in your house of friends, groups, and networking. Excellent if you're looking to meet new people romantically or socially. Good for building your network professionally. Good for finding and building your tribe. On April 20th, Juno, which is an asteroid that represents partnering, enters the mutable water sign of Pisces, transiting in your house of manifesting and hope. It'll be there until January 12th of 2023. And this is positive for you for partnering opportunities and, again, diving into manifesting and hope. On April 24th, Mercury forms a challenging aspect to Saturn, which is the planet of restrictions, at 9:50 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That could be challenging. There could be blocks. But Mercury forms a helpful aspect to Neptune later that day at 6:37 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and that is helpful energy. On April 26th, Mercury forms an excellent aspect to Pluto at 8:05 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Actually, April 28th. I'm sorry. And that is a very empowering energy. But the big news is really the end of the month because on April 29th, Pluto stations retrograde at 28 degrees and 36 minutes of the cardinal earth sign of Capricorn. We feel that energy 5 days before and 5 days after. That defaults back to when Saturn was transiting the late degrees of Capricorn, approximately from March 5th on and off through December 3rd of 2020. Reassessing that story, how you can heal and transform it. Pluto is retrograding in your house of relationships. There could be major breakups. There could be major beginnings in partnerships, major breakthroughs potentially. And then on the following day, we have a partial solar eclipse that occurs at 4:28 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 10 degrees and 28 minutes of the fixed earth sign of Taurus in your house of groups and friends and wishes. Excellent opportunity for connecting and networking. Eclipses are very chaotic and erratic and unpredictable. You know a lot of activity is going to happen. You know there will be major news around that time, particularly the day after a Pluto station. So there will be major endings, but solar eclipse is like a new moon on steroids. It tends to be more about new beginnings, although I've seen major endings on solar eclipses and major beginnings on lunar eclipses, which are like a full moon on steroids. A lot of activity, a lot of focus on your social life with that eclipse could bring in a whole new network for you, could bring in breakthroughs with your friends, but could also bring in breakups with friends. So focus on your social life. Focus on manifesting. 5 points in Pisces by the end of the month. So a lot going on. I wish you a lot of luck and thank you very much.